ZOOMCAST. Log in and check it out.
We are on live. Welcome everybody to episode 10 of this humble little ZOOMCAST we've been doing right throughout lockdown. I'm Matt Grima, and today, we've got a special guest in the building. It's a man with more energy than a chihuahua that's been locked up in a studio apartment for a couple of days. I speak, of course, of the Bayside sensation, Matt Pillios. G'day, Matty.
G'day, mate. I'm very excited. Episode 10, hasn't that gone quickly?
It has.
You? And, mate, thank you so much for having me. After the stars that you've been having through Marshall White and beyond, I'm very privileged to be here. And let me tell you, mate, I've done UFC, stage gigs, boxing, live, weddings. I've done 100 weddings, big auctions in front of crowds and cameras, but nothing's got me more nervous than the big ZOOMCAST with Matty Grima, the 2020 rising star of Marshall White.
You see, if you don't know Matt Pillios, that first sentence, now you know everything about him. That's the guy he is. If you could go to the cupboard in the morning and take a couple of shots of Pillios, you'd be a happy person for the majority of the day.
Mate, great to be with you.
Good on you, mate. Good on you. You've done a lot of these. You've been on Media Street ever since you landed at Marshall White, and you've been doing a lot of podcasts and interviews throughout lockdown, and a lot of people have been, I guess, wanting to pick your brain as one of the leading agents in Bayside about your thoughts on the current climate, the market, what you think might happen post-lockdown, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
We'll touch on that a little bit as well, but today's ZOOMCAST is more about your journey through the ranks. How you got started, where you grew up, Matty, your contact list, and I think everybody who knows you would say this comfortably. I've never known a person or met a person that's got more connections and more contacts with people, both locally and abroad. And I thought we might start there. We might touch on how you were able to build such a strong contact list, and why do you think people are so loyal to you from that contact list into what you do day to day from a real estate perspective?
Mate, yeah, thanks. And thanks for the nice words. And waking up with positive energy every day will create great momentum for everyone. But, mate, growing up and in terms of having a good network and all that sort of stuff, it was just really, mate, there was no secret. It was just being a good guy and happy, similar to yourself, and energetic and positive. And mate, being kind to people, it's the most simple things in life. And I think always if you can help someone out, you can be kind to people, you can give. Mate, it's momentum and it's karma, and it's what do people say? You give in life, you get, don't expect it. So, mate, growing up as a kid, I grew up, I was a bit of a journeyman. We went to so many different suburbs. I think I was born in Bulleen. My parents had a milk brewery in Kew when I was 2. I think when I was 6, I moved to a suburb called Nidri, which is next to Essendon. The good suburb now. Is pretty rough back then, which sort of borders Tullamarine and Keilor and those areas there in the northwest. And, mate, went to 3 different primary schools, 3 different high schools. Had a tough upbringing in high school, mate. I was small, believe it or not. Don't laugh. I didn't start puberty. I've done 2 days without shaving to try to. When you told me I'm on this, I said, mate, I'm not going to shave until I get on this. But this is 2 or 3 days with. But I didn't start puberty.
You've stolen his t-shirt, by the way. That's unbelievable.
Hey, Duke's let me his top, which is good. No, it's only because I put on ISO weight. So, mate, I've tightened up. So, mate, I was an Essendon boy for most of my life, and I think you grew up close by in Williamstown, and yeah, mate, just in terms of having a good network, Matty, it was just a combination of going to so many different high schools. Then I went to uni at VUT St Albans for a year, then VUT Footscray for a year. So it was just being a good guy, friendly guy, and it's just probabilities. You go to 6, 7 different schools, you meet a few more people, you be friendly to people talk to you back or like you. And when Facebook and all that started 10 years ago, all these people that I knew from 15 to 30 contacted us. But the other thing was I used to be heavily involved in the local footy, which was my league, was the Essendon District Footy League, which if anyone's played local footy or amateur footy in their day, it was a pretty strong league. And I used to play at Maribyrnong Park and be their footy manager. But in the interim, I used to host a TV show for the league on Channel 31. So similar to what you're doing, mate, it was not much money. It was passion, it was enjoyment. And, mate, I commentated games and hosted the TV show for about 10 years. So, mate, it was a combination of that. And with that, I dealt with a lot of AFL players and ex-AFL players. and made a lot of great friends and contacts.
Yeah. Yeah, Matty, a lot of people could see bouncing around from school to school or spot to spot as a youth as a burden, as a negative. It would be tough on an adolescent to always have to start again. From what I'm hearing, it seems as though you might have taken that in your stride, and you're exposed to more people, so therefore you've been able to build some really nice connections in a variety of different spots. And you're a guy, mate, that could speak to the CEO of a company one day and, the janitor at a school the next day, and you seem to get along with them equally as well, and so you should. Everybody's got a story, don't they?
Mate, it's it's about treating everyone equally, and I'll never forget. It's funny that you say that. One of the parents at Brighton Primary said, "Mate, I'll never forget." He goes, "I went to a sportsman lunch with you, and you were sitting next to a QC, John Larkins from the Aberfeldy Football Club's one of the best QCs in Melbourne. He's in his 70s. Then he said, that night you were commentating on Fox Sports, and he said, I saw Mick Gatto in the crowd. And Mick Gatto is a very nice guy, but obviously has a big profile in Melbourne. He said, I saw you shaking hands with Mick Gatto, and then you went to your commentary position. He goes, I just couldn't believe it. So the point of that was, I just treat everybody the same, whether their bank account's got $2 million or $200 or $2, whether they're different in profile, different, and it's just about treating everyone equally and respectfully.
And it's proven by you taking the time to come on this little Zoomcast show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Matty, why did you, without getting too personal, and you can tell me to get stuffed, but why did you have to move around so often as a youth? Were mum and dad doing it tough, or?
Yeah, mum and dad was from I think he grew up in Camberwell, so he grew up in a pretty good area. I think he wanted to start there. They had a milk bar opposite the High Street Cemetery, because I'm not from Kew. And I was only till about 5. Then mum wanted to go close to her parents who lived in Ascot Vale. So we moved across firstly there. And then when I was young, it was just a combination of second school wasn't good for a year. Then went to a primary school called St. John Bosco's, which was great from grade 2 to 6. But I did it tough in high school. Everyone from my class went to a school called St. Bernard's. I wasn't Catholic, so I couldn't get in there. So I went to Nidri High, which was really rough school back then, 1991.
Are you Greek Orthodox?
It was very. What was that?
Are you Greek Orthodox?
I'm Greek Orthodox in terms of and my mum was pretty used to go to church a lot. I know I used to hate it. Sorry, mum, if you're watching this, I hate it. So I'd only go on Christmas and Easter.
Sure.
To keep mum happy and do all that sort of stuff. But I was pretty Aussie. Because dad was born in Melbourne, so I was a pretty Aussie European. Where most people our age, I'm 41 now. Most of my mates who are Italian, Greek, whatever, Matty, their parents were born overseas, where dad was born in Melbourne and mum was here when she was 2. So I was a real Aussie Greek. So it was tough for me for a couple of reasons. The Europeans thought I was an Aussie, and I looked like an Aussie more than a European. Then the Aussies back then, a lot of them were pretty racist, and they'd just call you a wog, and it was hurtful. So, and mate, the other thing was there was a lot of Italians out where I grew up, Matt, and I didn't realise back then, and they used to just bag Greeks. There was a bit of a rivalry. So, mate, a combination of that, but going to Nidri High was a tough school, and I got bullied a lot. Didn't know anyone in year 7. Mate, I'll never forget. They were probably 2 of the hardest years of my life. Fearing, getting in fights. I was small, getting beaten up a lot. So it was tough times.
Yeah. And Matty, anybody who follows you on social media, will particularly through lockdown, will see the relationship that you've got with your own kids, with Duke and Stella, and your lovely wife, Belle. It seems as though your upbringing or how you've been able to get to where you've got to today, I think that plays on the mind in the sense that you want to instill some good values in the kids moving forward. And I've seen Duke and Stella do more rounds on the pads than the great Slice Stallone in Rocky 1. Maybe talk me through your relationship with your kids now and that health and fitness journey that surrounds it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Mate, I'm very blessed to have an unbelievable wife. She's been with me through good and bad. It was probably perfect for me, mate, because Belle's, she'll hate me saying this, she's 6.5 years older than me. So Belle was really mature and grown up when I met her. I was 24, she was 30. I was in lust and love with her. And I never thought I was a chance. And she's like, come and take me out. I mean, mate, we were married and engaged within 2 years, and I've never looked back. So, mate, with the kids, it's more been the friendship. One, I've got a great friendship with Belle. I think it's imperative in a relationship. Don't just be a husband and wife. Have that friendship as well, because you'll last forever and you'll enjoy the time together. So with Duke and Stella, I just try to give them the things that I never got. My parents were good and did everything possible. But mum and dad both had to work. We had 3 of us. We didn't have much money. And mate, I'm not overly wealthy financially. Will be one day, but that's not everything. But it was all about being a close-knit family. They're 16 months apart. And one thing we're big on is fitness and health. So, mate, what we sort of have, we have those old-fashioned rules, but we're not too old-fashioned. So, for example, the kids just want to be on TikTok and Fortnite and do that stuff. So we're like, as long as you do your homeschooling or your school, and as long as you do your sports, we'll let you do that. So pre-stage format, but we all do everything possible. Like Belle just Duke's basketball, football, Stella's dancing, Stella's netball. The things I wanted as a kid, I just played local footy and that's it because mum and dad were too busy. So we'll give them every opportunity. And it's the old saying, mate, I think many parents do that. What you didn't have, you try to get for your kids. I'm going to try to put them through the one high school from year 7 to 12 and a private school.
Well done. Well done.
And thanks for acknowledging, mate. I know you've always wrote good messages about Dukey's jab and all that. Mate, I actually had a really nice message from Sean Sullivan, who you might know him. He's a UFC trainer who's now in Abu Dhabi, and he's training Dubai government have hired him for the last 2 years. And left me a text last night just saying, mate, and I was chuffed, saying, I see your footage with your son and daughter. Trust me, mate, it's absolutely awesome. A lot of parents don't do that. Because it's an hour of time. I'm exhausted sometimes and I'll take them. But he said, it's all worth it. And he said, just be careful because when Duke gets to 16, 17, he'll be able to beat you up. But the other side is you wish you'll be able to, because you'll be trying to discipline him and he'll be able to. So I was laughing. But yeah, mate, it's a great feeling. And I'm very humble and grateful because a lot of people don't have a partner or their kids. And I'm really grateful and I feel lucky and I cherish them all, mate.
Yeah, well done. Well done. I had the great Kane Lanyon on one of these Zoomcasts earlier, and we spoke a little bit about this mythical, Gaga life health book thing called work-life balance. And I don't know to this day, Matty, if that's a real thing, if it's an expectation that can be met, if some people overvalue it, undervalue it. You do some pretty big hours, and you have for a long time. You're a guy that loves to be in the action and loves to pound the pavement. And because of the people connected that you're naturally drawn into different situations. Matty, come for a drink. Matty, come for dinner. Matty, come and visit us. So when are you coming over? When are we watching the UFC? When are we going to the footy? You're always in the action. How do you say yes to a lot of it? And then how do you prioritize ensuring that the family's still at the forefront of what you do?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's not easy. I enjoy being around people. So, but I love my own time as well. So, mate, I'm into so many, real estate's my career, but I have passions outside there, footy with the kids. I remember bumping you into the footy when I first met you, when I started at Marshall White at the Geelong Essendon game. And I was rapt because I said, because I liked you. And I said, maybe I can then go to an Essendon game with Grima. It's just the way I think. I like people, and if you can do something that you relate to them. So every time there's a UFC card on, I'll try to have 5 or 6 people there because one, I get to see them because we're all time poor, and 2, I'll get to watch something I enjoy. So it's making the effort. Don't take it personally if someone's busy or says no.
Yep.
And just ask, would you like to catch up for lunch? Would you like to go to footy? So it's really making the effort and being authentic. And you've got to have to enjoy people. Some people are introverts; they just don't like that.
Yep.
I love catching up with people. I love training with people. I love doing stuff with everyone, mate. And I love giving my time and being friendly to people. It's just all natural and all authentic, mate.
Good on you. Mate, everyone's been affected in some way, shape or form by the parameters that are around us at the moment with lockdown.
Yeah.
There's going to be some financial pain, which is obvious, but there's going to be some emotional pain, or there's already been some emotional pain. Matty, for a guy that, as you just said, loves to bounce around person to person and inject some energy into different rooms on an hourly basis, I would assume that this lockdown period for a guy like you might have hit pretty hard, and no doubt we've got the FaceTimes and the Zooms and the phone readily available to make calls and connect with people. But are you missing being an auctioneer? Are you missing being in a room full of people commentating a UFC event? How have you handled lockdown?
Yeah, good question, Matty. Look, it's week 8 now, so Mate, I was starving for a break pre-stage 4 late August. Mate, I had a big year last year. I think I had a focus last year that I did Tony Robbins and went to Bali and I said, I want to have the biggest year of my career. And I worked all the way through to Christmas, had 2 weeks off, and worked all the way through Jan. And I was physically and mentally spent because the emotion of March, April, May, mate, I came in as one of the directors and business partners at Bayside. It was a combination of a lot of things. I was mentally drained. So for me, the first 4 weeks selfishly, and I feel bad to say that, mate, I was rapt to have stage 4 because I thought, I haven't seen hardly Bell, Duke and Stella as much as I want. I need a rest. I'm spent mentally and physically.
Yep.
So the first week I just spent trying to do a deal or two because, mate, as you know, I'm so hyperactive. To go from 10 at 100% to 10% I couldn't do. So the first week and a half I worked. I actually I was lucky to do a deal sight unseen. I'm very grateful to do that. And then, mate, I said, stuff this. I want to enjoy myself. So I started watching Netflixes, sleeping in. Mate, I've got to get my good habits back because, mate, I woke up today, for example, at 7, went to the couch, made some peanut butter toast, stuff I don't do. So, mate, it's been awesome, mate. To spend time with Duke and Stella like never before has been unbelievable.
Yep.
But the last couple of weeks, like many and like yourself, the financial stresses, you know, when Dan Andrews made that announcement 2 weeks ago that it was going to be October the 23rd, like every agent, I mean, I don't know any agent who was anxiety picked for a couple of days. You know, how are we going to make thing? And now, you know, I think about, I'm blessed to be commentating and ring announcing maybe 12 to 20 gigs a year. So I miss that. You know, it's great. I don't think I'll be able to do it forever. So, mate, I do miss that, and I do miss my friends, and do miss going for gym and just having a meal. You know, maybe well, I think I texted you last night saying we caught up. We sold Libby Greenwood's from Collingwood's house 2 years ago. We had dinner at Ricardo's one night, just casually. I said, how good would that be? Just to sit around a table for an hour and a half Thursday night, have a quick meal, get home at 8:30. I mean, just the simple things in life now I really appreciate. So
Yep.
I'm lucky because I've been with the family and I love my time with Belle and the kids. But like everyone, but I do feel for someone, and that's why heavily in mental health I'm concerned, mate, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know you're big on it, and we might quickly touch on the efforts and the behind the scenes stuff that you're heavily into with Love Me, Love You shortly. Matty, before we get there though, talk to me about your real estate journey specifically. You bounced around, I believe, at a few jobs in forms of sales, but you weren't an estate agent initially. I think some people know that backstory, but talk to me about a couple of jobs that you did leading into becoming a real estate agent, and then talk about how long you've been an estate agent and your progression through the ranks to get to where you are today.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I did a uni degree till about 23, 24. And, mate, when I was 23, 24, even though I did a marketing degree at VUT, Victoria Uni in Footscray, Ballarat Road there, mate, I was just not focused career-wise at all. So I got my first sales job with a telco company. I was selling, I had that dream of airtime and Crazy John, and it was a billionaire. Mate, and all I did, excuse my French, was fuck around from 24 to 31. And I wish I had a mentor at that age that really I could have listened to, because that's one thing I ensure that my son will never do what I did in 23 to 24 to, you know, I was out there partying, girls, this was pre-Bell, mate. But you know what, I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't do all that. Some of the stuff I did, playing local footy, I just did footy trips, going to, you know, I was emceeing, I did... Don't laugh, I was the ugliest model. I did some modelling when I was younger, and I was going out to the snow, and they were flying me with 3 girls there. It was unbelievable. Like, I had a great life. So, but I wasn't career focused. So when I did Vodafone sales from 25 to 30, and I had a dream of the Crazy John deal. I opened a little dealership, didn't do too well. Mate, I bought into a bar nightclub in Flemington, which is a pretty good little area near the racecourse there. And, mate, our business was at a time where they were closing bars and nightclubs because of all the fights in King Street in the city. Lost our liquors license, lost the business, and a combination of Vodafone going really bad. I lost in terms of my house, everything. I had to start again when I was 31. So, mate, I was working with Vodafone, and I started doing emceeing and putting myself out there. And, mate, coincidentally, I'm emceeing my wife's best friend's wedding. Listen to this.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the worst marriage ever. The bloke was... Mate, he's the worst partner ever. I said, how can she marry this guy? He's always out bloody going out for 2-day benders and all that. And he's a nice guy. But
just a cheerio to him if he's watching.
I haven't seen the bloke for 10 years. So I'm up there emceeing anyway. doing a really good job because I dreamt of being an entertainer. So I'm 31 emceeing, and this bloke comes up to me with a champagne, half tipsy, and goes, mate, I work at REA. His name's Matt Van Oosterholm, so big call out to him. He goes, I'm one of the key account managers at realestate.com. And they got paid to recruit someone similar we do in Marshall White if you get someone So he goes, mate, there's 2 account managing jobs in the real commercial, which is REA Group, the commercial website. And he goes, mate, you should come for an interview. And I set the bell driving home because I was sober. We had the young kids at home. This guy's not my job. I need a career change. So I was working at Vodafone commission only. Anyway, he texts me on Monday. And then he said, mate, I'm organising this. So I go in there. They go, mate, don't know, because REA is very corporate, very academic. They say this footballer go in there, a bit loose. English pronunciation is not great.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a second language for me, as you probably know. And, a lot of haters judge me on that. So, mate, I got a second chance, and the guy happened to be, the Vic manager happened to be Greek background. And I could just tell he liked me. He goes, mate, I'm going to give you a trial 3 months. Got to the 3 months. He said, look, you probably got the will, but you don't have the skill. I said, mate, please give me another 3 months and I'll make it. He gave me another 3 months, kept my job. I was at realestate.com for 3 years. And the thing with realestate.com is it changed me so much professionally. They were very unbelievable culture. They were very ethical, straight corporate company.
Yep.
And just the culture of that. I was just a different person there, but they loved me because of the energy and personality. And I learned so much from their professionalism and how conservative they were, but straight they were. And what I was seeing was I was doing it hard financially at the time of my life, Matt. 80 grand package, iPad, phone, petrol card. And I said to my wife, Belle, I said, a 15-year plan, this money's not going to be as good as it is now. It won't be to get us back where we want to be. And I was seeing all these agents making big money because I looked after 40 real estate firms in the commercial, CBA Property, Gorman Kelly, all these guys. So I said, I'm going to be an agent. And my dad was a real estate agent. I always said to myself from 19, I'll never be an agent because my dad was it, worked all Saturdays. I saw him make money, lose our house, unfortunately, go through bad times, the GCI, all those, the 1988 recession. Anyway, I said, I've got to be an agent. It's the only way I can get ourselves and our family back. So it was like an apprenticeship. So I resigned REA late 2014 and started 2015 with a little company called Melcorp off the plan, PDG. Did 3 or 4 months there, then went to Buxton in March 2015, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
been in it for 5 years.
And when did you come to Marshall White again, Matt?
I went to Marshall White 3 years. I was November 2017.
Yep.
So 2018, nearly 3 years, 2 and 3 quarters.
Good on you. And when you got when you got that gig, it's amazing, isn't it? How and Marcus said this in his little ZOOMCAST interview. You never know. What door can open a bigger door? Can open a bigger door. Here you are, emceeing a wedding.
Unbelievable.
And next thing you know, a guy's taken to your personality for whatever reason. He's offered you an opportunity that you've taken with both hands, and then because of that opportunity, it's then given
100%.
you.
If I never put myself out there, it never would have happened. And it changed my life, Matty. And I was going through a tough time.
Yep.
Tough. It was just a tough stage back then.
Yeah, extraordinary. What were the early years like for you at Buxton? You are, as I said, you're energy personified, and clearly there's some technical nous that one needs to learn as an estate agent. And I always say, Matt, there's book smart, there's street smart, and then there's a very rare combination of both. And I think post your REA career, you seem to balance those two quite well. But when I think Matt Pillios, I think a Matt Pillios client, I think of somebody that feels like they're really going to be looked after. It's going to be a personalised experience. They're not going to be treated as just another number. If I sign up with Matt Pillios, I'm going to get the insider's deal. He's going to look after me. Real estate agents on the surface don't tend to have a great deal of trust from the get-go. That's just part and parcel of what we do. But if I sign up with Matt, he's going to look after me. So you have that part of real estate worked out, the trust factor with your clients. Yep. How did you couple that with actually learning the nuances of the day-to-day process? Yeah.
So back in 2015, it was tough. It was like doing an apprenticeship. I was learning. I was lucky to have natural, I love selling. I knew property through dad. So I was lucky to have that, and I had the REA experience. And I was 36. I was at a good age. I wasn't at 20. And kudos to everyone under 26 doing real estate, because it's tough. So I was a man, and I was an adult, I should say, and I had kids at Brighton Primary, young, I think, or Wilson Kindy. So That was tough, mate. Like the first 18 months, I used to get home at 8, 9 o'clock every night because I was just there. You know, I see someone like Campbell Butters and I talk to him and said, mate, I was doing the same thing. I'm just going through emails because your brain's ticking off slower. You don't know what to do. You're absorbing everything. You're reading emails at a different time. You can only work. So, mate, I didn't make much money the first year, but I was lucky to have a few good friends that put me onto some sales in my first year. So I had a mate who had Mark Verrecki from Nelson's referred me one in Sandy, and Anthony Franchina gave me his house in my first year real estate. Stephen Baker. I got about half a dozen listings through friends because they go, mate, you're a good bloke. We trust you. And the trick I did, matey, was I would bring back then Adam Gillen, who was the director of Hampton East Buxton, to every meeting. So I wouldn't go there like a hero. I had no idea what I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, it's their biggest asset. I'd bring our best agent with me, and I'd try to listen. I'd go, we're going to do this together. And most times they'd say, mate, we'll look after you. The listing fee's yours. I'll guide you because the business gets the sale. So, mate, I was street smart. Like, I'd get our best agent to help me and help me list it, help me sell it. And I just learned on my feet. And, mate, within 2 years, I was able to start making some really good money. I think my third year at Buxton Hampton East. And, mate, I started getting calls from some good people, Marshall White. You know, Kate and Andrew had sort of gone across there, and Marcus and John Bongiorno when he took me into the big mansion there on Beach Road. And, mate, I knew that I needed to elevate. And everyone I asked outside said it'd be a great change, and the rest is history. Yeah. And, mate, I put everything into it.
Yep. Well done, Matt.
I learned this when I was young, Matty. Relationships are built on trust, and most people trust us. And if they were scared of my ability and saying you're not experienced enough yet, or do you do this area, or have you ever sold a $4 million plus? So I actually haven't, but I'm using this person with me, and we're going to work with you together. And, mate, if you got a good heart and a big heart, that's really a basic fundamental in life to success.
Yeah, and you told the truth, Matt. You know, have I sold a property at that level? No, but I'll tell you what, this bloke sold about 15 of them in the last 4 months, and I'm going to get him on board, but you're going to get me. So you're going to get that human connection, that personalized relationship that we spoke about, coupled with the experience from that particular person at the time, and together we're going to get you the result that you're after, and you do that really well.
Thank you, man. Especially what we did together with Greenwood from Collingwood. He's a big, high-profile he actually said, have you done anything in South Melbourne? I said, mate, I've done the odd one, but I'm going to get Matt Grima in there. Mate, he loved you automatically, who sold 20 there, but we're going to do it together. And he was like, I could just tell how comfortable. And it's just common sense. Yeah. Don't be the one-man band hero, and just be street smart.
Yeah. So, Matty, you go from the you weren't young when you got into it, but you go from the inexperienced agent who's tying a tie for the first time, sitting in the corner with a phone and a phone book, trying to crush through to list and sell, to the journey that you're on and where you are today. And you've got a pretty powerful team that work with you, not behind you, with you to do deals.
Yep.
Maybe talk through your team setup currently and sort of what roles are given to which people at the moment.
Yeah. I've got I run a team I've just got a new agent who started named Kylie Charlton, who's very successful. She's come across from Hodges, and she had her own office, Kylie Charlton Real Estate. So
she's an exclusive, Matty.
Exclusive breaking news. I think she popped up on the Zoom yesterday, but I don't know if it's officially been announced. But Kylie Charlton is with Team Pillios and Marshall White Bayside, which is awesome. But my team is last 2 years I've been with Kate Strickland. We had Strick Pill, a great team together. Myself, Kate, and Darley, and we had Andre. Then Andre left. James Smith sort of replaced. But then I've come on my own team this year with Caitlin Payne-Clark, has came in from Adelaide, a recruit that Paul Gregory. He rings me up on December the 23rd and says, Matt, it's 36 degrees. I'm meeting this girl. I never drank at the Christmas party because I was trying to do a deal. So I was sober. It was the day after the Christmas party. So it was a Thursday or Friday. And I met her and I said, I like her. And he said, then he contacted Kate and I on New Year's Eve and said, we really want to get this girl. She's come across from Adelaide, started Fed the first, and been one of the greatest teammates I've ever had. She's phenomenal. She's loyal. She's smart. So I've got Caitlin Payne-Clark, Matt Riley, who's come from your office, James Smith, who's just finished with us, and Kylie Charlton. So I've really got 3 teammates in my own team. Then I've got Taylor Hubenars, who's an unbelievable business manager. Amy, who was fantastic. And I've got Taylor now. I really needed just someone myself to work with. I'm very energetic and hyperactive, but respectful as well. So, but I've got a great team. no egos, and we're a family. You know, we've got a good family. We do anything for each other, and we had one of the most successful months ever in July.
Yeah, well done. Well
And
done.
I'm grateful, mate. I love them all. I'd do anything for them anytime, Matty.
Good on you.
I try to chase you. I shouldn't tell anyone this, but we're live on Matt and ZOOMCAST. I try to chase you, and I thought, no wonder Kane doesn't talk to me much anymore. Because but I'm lucky I didn't work with you, because you and I would end up spending, instead of real estate, UFC, Essendon. The amount of text messages to and from that you and I do after hours about UFC and the Bombers is ludicrous. So I'm lucky we didn't work together, because I don't reckon I would have been dollar productive, as the great man Leonard Teplin would tell us. And a shout out to Leonard, because he's always been so good to me since I started martial art.
You're always selling. It's unbelievable. You're very good. You're very good. Matty, you're UFC commentating. You work with Fox Sports. You commentated the Australian UFC for a long time, and I actually saw a clip the other day of you announcing in the ring for the great Israel Adesanya that's going to defend his middleweight championship on the weekend. He's an undefeated fighter. He's fighting an undefeated fighter. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest clash in the middleweight ranks for that particular title. Now, this fight was announced in Melbourne after Israel Adesanya took care of our man Robbie Whittaker. And I remember looking over to you, and you looked at me and said, mate, Costa is dangerous. You've got some belief here, and I know that we've all probably got a soft spot for Izzy because of the local connection, but you, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I reckon you've got a feeling that Costa could cause a bit of an upset.
Yeah, mate, that day was phenomenal. I think we had a bit of a martial white crew together. I think we were row 5, yourself, Marcus, Leonard, Kate, Andrew. It was a great crew, and I had about a dozen mates. But that was that's the biggest event in UFC history. And a lot of people, Matty, and you could say that. Firstly, UFC, the sport's called mixed martial arts. People get confused, and it's not brutality. It's wrestling. It's mixed. It's karate. It's jiu-jitsu. It's disciplined sport. They're athletes. They're really good people. So, mate, I just want to say to do the occasional meeting with the UFC and it is just the most unbelievable privilege. It's so exciting. I always said to Marshall, I'd only leave if I could be Bruce Buffer's job or Joe Rogan's job, because it's the greatest company in the world, and I know you know that. So to do all that is absolutely awesome. So this time last year, I remember saying to you, I love Whittaker like you do. Israel will beat Whittaker, and you couldn't believe I said that to you. And it's one thing I've just followed for the last 15 years. Now, Israel fights Costa. There's one thing in fights is styles make matchups. And when I got a bit older, because I got bullied a lot when I was younger, when I got to sort of 18, 19, I started doing a lot of boxing. And, mate, I grew up in a rough area, and I got in a lot of fights. And like I'm talking maybe 30 footy fights where there was at least 20 punches thrown and maybe 10 street fights, which I didn't want to fight. I hate fighting, but I was just... So, and a lot of times I learned styles make matchups. So there was a guy that I never thought it might take me apart, and I'd get picked apart. Then it was a big, maybe a 6'4" bloke I'd take out because I'd take his knees. So I learnt that from that and the combination of following the sport.
Yep.
So, mate, I can't tell you how excited I am for Israel versus Costa. It's the biggest 50-50 fight in. Like, Israel Adesanya is precision. He's tall. And look, I'm probably going to go for him because he's a Nigerian born. He went to New Zealand when he was 9. He got bullied a lot as well because of his skin colour over there, because he wasn't a Maori or wasn't a white New Zealand. He was a Nigerian and went to New Zealand. And, mate, his story's phenomenal.
Yep.
So, I mean, Paulo Costa, they're just, I have most respect because they're both great athletes.
Yep.
But I think if Costa's power is so good, Paulo Costa probably beats him and knocks him out in the first 2 or 3 rounds. But if it gets to 2 or 3 rounds and Izzy starts picking him apart, he starts tiring a little bit.
Yep.
And, mate, I've been in a wrestle with people, and if I've got tired, that's how I get myself fit.
Yep.
Mate, as soon as you're tired, doesn't matter if you're 10 kilos heavier than someone, they're going to start beating you up.
Yep.
So that's the thing with Israel. I think if he can survive to round 3, he gets to round 4 and 5. I think Israel can keep kicking him and picking him apart. The build-up of the fight's great. You and I are talking about it. It's like the old days where there's just so much banter. But they're 2 athletes on the top of their game. My heart says Israel.
Who wins?
Izzy.
Okay, beautiful. And then the other, the light heavyweight title's been vacated by the great John Jones, so it gives a chance to Reyes and Blachowicz to fight it out. We know Reyes fought John Jones, and that's the only loss on his resume. But if you watch that fight closely, a lot of people...
Reyes won the first 3 rounds, mate. I don't care what anyone says.
There you go. A lot of people found found reason to believe that Reyes might have actually beaten the great John Jones.
Yeah.
With that in mind, do you give the edge to Reyes on the weekend?
I do, mate. Yeah, Blankovich he lost a few fights early. He's powerful though. Could knock him out in the first round. If he doesn't do that, I think Reyes will pick him apart and win that fairly easy round 2 or 3.
Yep.
This is going to be an unbelievable card, and no AFL, Matty. I say to anyone, if you ever wanted to just try, if it's never been your sport, mixed martial arts or the UFC, well, at least watch it, because UFC is not just fights. It's a great production, as you know. It's entertaining. It's got that WWE feel about it. It's unbelievable. So it's on Sunday, I think, free card on Foxtel at 9 a.m. and it's $50 on from about midday. It'll be the best card in history. Would you agree?
It's going to be a very good card, and you can punch in Pillios 20 and get 20% off by the sounds of it, which is good. A couple other quick fights coming up, Matty, that I just want your take on as an expert. And there's a lot of people that like to have a little flutter on the fights. The Korean Zombie and Brian Ortega, they were friendly originally, but things soured pretty quickly. Talk me through who you like in that fight.
Yeah, unbelievable fight. For obviously Alex Volkanovski, I shout out to him. He's a Macedonian guy from New South Wales. Training
Superstar.
Is just the featherweight titles, beat Max Holloway twice. And for anyone that doesn't know, Conor McGregor held that title against Jose Aldo. So Volkanovski, but I always thought Zombie and Ortega are the best 3rd and 4th fighters you could just about ever rank 2 or 3 fighters ever. I mean, Ortega was undefeated before he lost to Max Holloway. Yep. Has he ever recovered from that? Is a big question. Yep. I think Ortega for me, but I think Zombie could just bash him. I'd hate to be a punter, but the reason I don't gamble is because it's so hard. But I reckon Ortega will bounce back, and if he doesn't, I reckon his career, 2 big losses. Yep. They're both exceptional fighters. I think Ortega just for me. I want Ortega to win. Yep. Zombie's win last time was phenomenal, though. Very close fight, Matty.
Very, very close fight. And you say styles make matchups. That one's going to be an absolute beauty, in my opinion. And then moving on to the next UFC card, which will be in about a month's time, you've got Khabib Nurmagomedov against Justin Gaethje. Khabib undefeated, clearly the most dominant fighter in that division. He's recently lost his dad, so no doubt there's some emotion that might be flickering around in the background. And not only his dad, but a huge part of his success from a training perspective as well. So, with a guy like Khabib who's so respectful and likes to honour his father's legacy, I find it hard to believe that he'd lose to anybody going into the cage with that behind him. But, geez, he's fighting an absolute steam train who's come off a massive win against Tony Ferguson in Justin Gaethje. He's a guy that swings for the fences, and Jesus Christ, if he connects, it's lights out.
A lot of power for a lightweight in his fists. The thing with Gaethje is he's a technical puncher. He's not a brawler as well, but he's tough. He can cop them. So there's 2 factors here. How is Khabib after the big Conor win and the Poirier win, and then his father passing away, and we go through COVID, because he usually spends most of his camps at AKA in America.
Yep. He
has to go to Russia for a long time. Is he physically as fit? Is he mentally there after his dad's death? Yep. The second thing is how good's Gaethje, because I feel Tony Ferguson, and I don't only because I love Tony, was that the best Tony Ferguson we see? Because Tony Ferguson cut weight. I don't know if people know this. There's an inside story. Tony Ferguson cut weight for the Khabib fight. Khabib pulled out. So what Tony Ferguson did, because he's crazy, he went and cut weight to say to people, I still made my weight on the fight of the Khabib. Then he had to prepare for Gaethje. So what he did was live normally for 3 weeks, and he got into a sauna and spa for another 72 hours and cut weight a second time. And a lot of experts say that dehydrated him for the Gaethje fight. So did Gaethje beat the best Tony Ferguson? If he did, he's a massive chance against Khabib. Or did Gaethje beat a Ferguson that was spent and that was weak and he couldn't have any knockout punches? If he did that, the gap of Khabib, because I think Khabib and Tony were there. I think Tony, the man at his best, was the man to beat Khabib. So, mate, it's going to be unbelievable. Gaethje has the ability to knock out, if he can stay standing for a little bit, like everyone. But Khabib's a freak.
It's always
I would have loved to have seen Conor.
It's always a story.
It's going to be epic. You know what? You never know. I reckon Gaethje, this could be the greatest upset in UFC history. Probably second to Matt Serra in GSP. It happens.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Styles make fights.
Yeah. Absolutely. Last one, Matty, and we've probably gone over time, but geez, you're a bit of fun to have
Sorry.
a chat with. Conor McGregor, will we see him back in the octagon? We know he's retired. We know fighters say that to drum up a little bit more interest on the likes of social media. But A, do you think we'll see him back? And B, what sort of Conor McGregor do you think we'll get if he does return?
Yeah, I thought Conor McGregor, the plan was definitely got his life back. He got himself in some trouble 2 years ago, throwing that fire hydrant into the bus, or the trolley into the bus.
Yep.
Got suspended, got in trouble. He came back against Cerrone focused. He was a changed person. He was had a lot of gratitude, and he was sorry for his actions.
Yep.
And the plan was for him to definitely fight through 2020. So he fought Cerrone in February, destroyed him.
Yep.
And the pandemic came, and it's changed a lot of things. And then I think now it's, then he's retired. Now he's got himself into some trouble, which I've heard, you read so much. It was basically nothing what he did. Obviously, people like to get him in trouble. And now he's getting so many threats and stuff. I feel sorry for him. He's getting bullied on social media. I hope Conor comes back because he's an unbelievable, he's probably a top 3 fighter in the world. It's just a shame Khabib's there. I think at his best, the way he looked against Cerrone, he'd probably nearly beat Khabib if he could stay standing. And he's fresh. It's just mental state. I think if he doesn't come back from this incident he's had in France 2 weeks ago, Matt, mentally good soon, I think they're just going to have super fights for him in his career. Yeah. I think there's one more shot, though. I think if he can get his focus back and get some good mentors around him, he can have one more shot, especially if Gaethje wins. I think Conor can beat Gaethje. I think he needs to have one fight against a Poirier or someone, and he could fight the winner of Khabib and Gaethje, mate. Everyone wants to see a rematch against Khabib. What happened there was unbelievable. So I hope he comes back. I love the guy. I respect the guy. He walks the walk. Nobody's perfect in life. I make mistakes all the time. You make mistakes all the time. Only judgmental people and haters will always bag him.
Well done, mate. We might finish on that. Where can people find you, Matt, if they want to sell a piece of real estate or buy a piece of real estate, or even pick your brain for a little bit of advice as to your journey through the ranks?
Mate, first, I'm always here as a friend anytime. People reach out to me. It's tough times, favours, advice. I get social media at Matt Pillios and Insta, Facebook, Matthew Pillios, and just Marshall White Bayside. I'd love to help anyone I can anytime. Matty, I love your work as well. Since I started at Marshall White, we met on the plane at Aric just before I started, and we got along really well. Similar upbringings. And, mate, I just want to say, I always thought about doing a podcast, and you've come and done it. So, mate, to have the courage to do that, well done. You're such a genuine guy, mate, as well. I think that's why everyone says yes to come and be on it. So thank you for having me. And even a big mention for you from the big Simon Jovanovic last week, mate. The CEO looks about 25. So well done, mate, to you. And it's a privilege to be on here.
Good, man. Good. I appreciate you giving up some time throughout lockdown. I wish you nothing but success for the back end of 2020, and hopefully we'll be back up running soon. So I think we're all going to be busy, but I reckon you especially will be one of the busiest agents in the state moving to the back end of 2020 with a lot of deals to be done. And continued success to you and your family, and thanks again for jumping on, mate. Well done.
So, mate, back at you, mate. And good luck to everyone. Stay positive through this tough time. Hang in there.
Thanks, Matty.